Greene Street Joinery and the American Craftsman podcast are proud to partner with Montana Brand Tools. Montana Brand Tools are manufactured by Rocky Mountain Twist in Montana, USA. With numerous patents dating back to the invention of the hex shank system by our founders, we strive to produce accessories that add precision, flexibility, and efficiency to your toolkit. In addition to woodworking tools, we produce many high-quality cutting tools that are used by the aerospace, medical, automotive, and industrial markets. Our end product has a fit and finish that is beyond comparison. Montana Brand Tools are guaranteed for life to be free of defects in material and workmanship because we build these tools with pride and determination. For 10% off your order, visit montanabrandtools.com and use the coupon code American Craftsman. And we're back.
Yeah, you got a fresh cup of tea there?
Yeah.
Going with peppermint again?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
That's a good one. Yeah, so here we are, episode 15.
Yeah, we're going to talk about federal furniture.
Mm-hmm. On the last day of the year.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Not for us, but in your time.
Yeah. You know what I kind of thought of? We space these things out once a week.
Uh-huh.
So I never really recapped like where we left off. Like when you watch a show that's in a two-parter, they kind of show you like a little brief thing what happened in the first episode.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try bringing everybody up to speed.
Last week on the American Craftsman podcast.
Yeah, sounds better when you say it. So we're talking about the period between 1780 and 1820, the newly formed United States of America.
Yep.
And up to this point, everything is really rooted in European fashion and strong ties to Britain, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's kind of brought over to the colonies and filtered through those lenses. Then in 1748, mid-1700s, Pompeii is unearthed. The ruins, which we learned were the city of Pompeii is buried in, 79 A.D., was it?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's still a fascinating thing to this day to go and see those things because the lava encapsulated the city so quickly.
Frozen in time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
People didn't even see it coming.
No.
There. It's like...
So, although we've had all the Greek and Roman ruins, visible things like the Parthenon, and all the Colosseum, all that stuff's been visible at that point in the 1800s. This sparked renewed interest in that time period.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one guy in particular that brought, we'll say, the federal aesthetics to Britain and then to America. His name was Robert Adam. He was an architect. So he goes over to Pompeii. He soaks it all in. He takes his notes. He kind of watches Europe digest and, react to what they see as Roman life during the first century. And then he brings his take to it. And that's what filters over to America. Now, fast forward, 20, 30 years. We're in the 1780s. And it's kind of a fascinating thing where this new country, the United States, kind of sees itself as the new Roman Republic, if you will.
Yeah, maybe kind of searching for an identity.
That's a good way to put it.
Like a teenager.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Dyed our hair black.
Yeah.
Started painting our fingernails.
Got a few piercings. Back in my day, that was, really on the outskirts of things. Tattoos, piercings, they were not commonplace back then.
Well, yeah, I can imagine piercings especially.
Yeah. Like when
did anybody have anything pierced other than their ears?
No.
Like if you had your nose pierced, you were probably like a blaspheme.
Yes. I mean, every now and again you'd run into somebody that had like a tiny little nose piercing. You know, not a hoop, but like a little stud, little jeweled stud.
So yeah, I just got back from India. You know,
right.
Did some drugs.
Like I had 3 earrings in one ear and one in the other, and that was a cause.
Lock them up.
Exactly. Many odd looks. Like you know, people were very
conservative.
Yeah, conservative, and it wouldn't be unusual for somebody just because I had both of my ears pierced to say something without even blinking an eye. Are you gay? Like, I mean, could you imagine something like that happening today? Well, I guess we're in certain crowds.
Yeah.
But they were not concerned about who would hear them say
yeah.
something like that. They thought it was...
There was no mincing words.
No.
Yeah, now, I mean, like a pierced nose is totally...
Yeah, it's a normal kind of...
and even as like a teenager, I think.
Right.
I mean,
it's a coming of age thing.
I don't really know any teenagers, I guess, but I assume that... see tons of people with pierced nose and stuff like that.
Yes, and when did tattoos become very I'm going to say acceptable, as sort of like if you went to work, you didn't have to cover them up and things like that?
I mean, depending on where you work, I think now even you probably for the most part still had to have them covered up, but I think in the 90s is when they really started to become more mainstream.
Yeah.
Like maybe the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that was and it started moving away from like the sailor kind of style and you know, like the tigers and things like that.
Yeah, all that stuff kind of started in like the 30s, 40s. That's where like sailors were the people who were getting tattooed because they were overseas in Japan and stuff like that, and that's where a lot
islands, the South Pacific.
Yeah, that's where like the tribal tattoos come from, or the South Pacific, and then like all the Sailor Jerry kind of stuff stemmed from traditional Japanese tattooing, I guess, and then morphed into this more of like a naval themed kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. That'd be an interesting podcast, actually. History of tattoos and.
Oh yeah, I bet there's some
to listen to.
Yeah.
How you like those Samoan, those really like big fields of black or dark ink? Those things must.
My cousin had he had it done in Fiji, like a real
like where they tap
Polynesian
on the
tattoo.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
it's like a whale bone or something, and they have this little rest and they tap it. I think he said it wasn't that painful, but I mean, I have a decent amount of tattoos, and my chest was painful.
Did you have to shave when you got that?
Oh, they always shave you before the tattoo
for
artist.
Hygienic reasons, or
well, it'll push the hairs into your skin, so you just end up with all these ingrown hairs.
Oh God,
yeah. Plus, it's hard for them to see, I guess, too.
Yeah, they want a clean palate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were talking
about federal furniture.
We were talking about federal furniture, the Roman Republic. Oh, I know what, because it was the youthful America searching for its identity and finding a role model in the Roman Republic.
They dyed their hair, painted their nails, and they started listening to Fall Out Boy.
Yeah. That sounds like somebody. Oh man. Hi out there to Manny. And so I mean, we all tend to look back at the Roman Empire with rose-colored glasses here in the West, you know, source of all this great knowledge, architecture, design, democracy, and all that other stuff. But it did kind of go down in flames.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that Robert Adams, the architect, brings back to Britain, and then it's through those channels makes its way over to America, and in American interpretation, it becomes the federal style. They do call this neoclassical in the larger world out in Europe and things like that. This style does exist, so it's not just in America. And the consumers of this furniture were largely urbanites, well-to-do, the merchant class and above. Early, I'll just read from my notes. This is pretty well written as I pulled this from Wikipedia. Early American federal furniture of this era did full justice to the elegant high society of the young nation. Ladies in silks and muslin sipped tea in the drawing room. Gentlemen in tight-fitting coats and wigs discussed the stirring events of the new federation in well-appointed libraries. Lawmakers and entrepreneurs, rich traders and their fashion-conscious wives, all with money to spend and a position in society to maintain, created beautiful homes and interiors in a style which is still prized by antique lovers today. In the historic districts from which the capital was born, such as Georgetown, Alexandria, and Roslyn, Virginia, federal furniture and architecture is preserved in an abundance of museums and show houses.
Reminds me of, you ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Did you see the one where they're in like colonial,
Williamsburg?
Well, no, it's like in this sort of like, I forget, maybe it has something to do with the Liberty Bell. I forget the premise of the whole episode, but they're dressed up like as these like high society guys.
No.
Oh yeah, it's funny. They're like they're loyalists.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget what the premise of the thing is, but they're loyalists, like dressed up like, with powdered wigs. It's pretty funny.
But you could kind of see the scene that paragraph sets. It is for the well-to-do, and federal furniture does have that kind of graceful, elegant kind of look to it.
Yeah. Super tasteful, not, too over the top.
It's not florid like the last kind of fancy pieces we went through.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cherry and Walnut is the title of this next paragraph, because dark woods were popular at the time. So if you see federal furniture, the primary wood is almost always dark. We went through the popularity of mahogany, and that was still really, at this time, really popular in Europe. But it's the native woods. I guess it's sort of that, that pride in localism and things like that, nativism. Cherry and walnut is big and popular. And I found this interesting because cherry was really very popular. Walnut was stained with, it was stained red with potassium chloride.
Wow. To be used as a slightly less expensive option.
Yeah.
Now it's,
Now it's
nearly
not.
3 times the price.
But that cracks me up because how often does somebody say, like, 10,000, that's too much. What if you use a cheaper one?
Yeah. We use walnut and stain it red.
Oh, man. Intricate workmanship is typical of federal furniture. Many pieces feature inlays of different types of wood or wood scorched to give areas of light and dark contrasts. That's that stuff like I read a whole how-to article on, that fan that they make, like it's like those triangular pieces that are cut, and it's like it goes in an oval.
Oh yeah, out of veneer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you dip the edges into like some hot sand
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
That's all at this period in time. That's when this is really coming into vogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give it some highlight.
Mm-hmm. Painted and string inlays were used for decoration. Stars and eagles, the symbols of the new nation, are often seen in American furniture. In American furniture instead of the classical emblems of European furniture, where they'd be, pulling more from the neoclassical Roman, Greek stuff. And then this kind of thing is especially true in the later part of the period as we get into the, early 1800s. This I found interesting. Several new types of furniture kind of came into being during the Federal era. Life is changing, needs are changing. Sideboards became popular. And I like a sideboard. That's one of my favorite projects to build because it's big enough where you can kind of do something with it, design-wise, and it's something you can drop off.
I was gonna say, the best thing is it's a piece of furniture. And you could just sit there.
We love the drop off.
Yeah. Well, there it is. Looks good.
See you later.
Yeah. You can finish the drop off / install before lunch.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
good.
And then you go have lunch out.
Yeah.
To celebrate.
Because you got a nice fat check, final payment.
Yeah. So sideboards became popular during this time. And I suppose, it's the entertaining, it's the wealthy. You could imagine, the big dining room, the sideboard set with drinks or something on it.
Yeah, some, what were they drinking back then?
Were they drinking
sherry?
Sherry, port.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it now. Wigs.
Yeah. Chlamydia and, what was it? The wig had something to do with some kind of like
lice,
STD or some.
Oh God!
Yeah,
you gotta find out that is.
Yeah, let me see. Maybe it's a Mandela effect.
You can't bring that up.
It was like I think they had syphilis and they were like losing their hair.
Oh my God!
Powdered wigs and syphilis. Yeah, there it is. Victims of syphilis hid their hair loss with wigs, sometimes made of human hair, but quite frequently made of more low-cost options like horse and goat. In order to further hide infection, these wigs were doused with lavender and orange-scented powders just to cover up any funky smells.
Oh, my God.
See, I'm not crazy.
So the powdered wig, so it wasn't enough. That's why, it's funny. You just sort of took it at face value. They wore powdered wigs. Like, what's the powder? Why the powder?
Why the wig?
Why the wig? I always just thought, not giving it too much thought, they had short hair and they wanted to put on this long-haired wig I have no idea why, for some sort of stylistic aesthetic. Turns out
they had syphilis.
Man.
And then I think it kind of caught on.
So
because the big wigs were all out messing around and they all had syphilis.
Oh,
so they started wearing the wigs and everybody else was like, man, these wigs are pretty cool.
Oh,
maybe I'm going to get one of these wigs made out of goat hair.
Goat hair. That had to be coarse.
And smelly.
Yeah, man. So
no wonder they had the powder.
And how long could a goat's hair be?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess not that long.
Yeah, so I guess they had to like weave it together and stuff.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
That's for another episode.
Yeah, that's the
maybe that's a Patreon. Talk about powdered wigs.
Goat hair and the powdered wig. So sideboards become popular, I guess, due to lifestyle. Specialized sewing tables also made an appearance for the first time. I guess I don't have a picture of it. I probably should, unless it's further down. I don't remember. Sounds like a small table with a drawer or two in it, right?
Yeah. Sounds like something the help would have, not the.
I know. Unless it's something that the ladies did at night while the men were,
out getting
smoking.
syphilis.
Right. Because, like when you see shows like historical dramas, the men all kind of adjourn to one room and the ladies to another. I don't know. But they really wouldn't be sewing, would they? Together?
Who knows?
Practical sectional tables took up less space than the giant library tables of the past, but offered seating for many guests if necessary. I see. So they're sitting around chairs with tables, like you can see the Gentlemen's Club.
Mm-hmm.
I'm digging that. I would love to be able to build a couple of small tables.
Yeah.
The dresser and the chest make another appearance. They gain the dresser and the chest gain an important addition, a matching and attached mirror.
Yep,
we
saw that in that episode. The example last week.
John Seymour, John and his son Thomas Seymour,
cousin of Raymore and Flanagan.
No, that's not Raymore and Flanagan. That's Bob.
Yeah, Bob's discount.
So they're taking we see the chest come from a box, adding drawers, adding feet, stacking another chest on top of it. This time,
got a mirror.
A mirror. I wonder if mirror glass was expensive back then.
Probably.
Yeah.
It was made of real silver.
So federal style furniture can perhaps be described as the first real American style furniture. Would you agree with that?
I don't know that Newport stuff. But it kind of falls into the same thing because it was influenced directly by what was happening in England.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna have a little bit of a dispute with that because.
But I mean, okay, so the United States was just formed, so I guess technically. You want to get technical, regardless of who it was inspired by. It is the first real American style furniture because prior to that, there was no United States of America.
Right. I take it that way too.
Just British colonies.
Although it's initially derivative.
Right.
I suppose we have to. I don't even know when we're going to come across the first non-derivative.
Probably
American
never.
Are we getting back to the 3-chord argument? There's
only so many notes.
Because in the past, woodworkers had done their best to create replicas of European designs using local materials and local talent. So this is, I guess, in that way, it's the most American for sure.
Yeah.
During the federal period, European influence, it remains visible, but it's diluted. And artistic license takes over in a bigger sense, and some regional styles develop. And I picked out a few that had the most prominent differences. We have Connecticut, characterized by elaborate inlays of bellflowers, carrot-shaped designs, and a pattern resembling a Ferris wheel was common.
Carnies.
So I wonder if that's where carnies originated.
It could be. The Connecticut carnies. Sorry, Viz.
Yeah, Maryland. After the war, the Revolutionary War, Baltimore became a hub for cabinet makers in the United States. I didn't know that. And Maryland craftsmen were well known for their elaborate painted pieces. And this is a hard word to say. Aglomise? Aglomise?
Sounds right.
It means glass panels decorated with allegorical figures.
We just lost about 35% of the listeners.
Glass panels, which kind of have a little storytelling um, decoration on them. Again, bell flowers and oval inlays, this time surrounded by a mitered panel. Those things were popular with designers. So they're using these things to kind of clue us into where these pieces are made from, because not everybody's signing. New York and New Jersey, as we told our listeners last week, this is really the most populous area of the country. More or less still is, but
yeah.
Cabinet makers, including the famous Duncan Phyfe, settled throughout New York, and New York City in particular became the epicenter for American fashion and furniture. One notable characteristic of New York furniture is the squared-off chair back with urn-shaped splats. Now, the splat is that piece of wood or pieces of wood in that the back is resting on, that your back rests on. In between.
Yeah.
Just so
like ladder back but turned.
Yes. In New Jersey, hey, home of the American Craftsman podcast and Greene Street Joinery, Craftsman often made several types of furniture in a single shop, just like we do, creating the new styles as well as the traditional versions favored by many customers.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, here we are. We're still playing second fiddle, aren't we, over here?
Yeah.
The quarter fan motif was popular throughout both New York and New Jersey. Pennsylvania. We're talking mainly Philadelphia and surrounding areas, because this is all pretty urban happenings. Urns, carved drapery, that's real, Greco-Roman. They were common embellishments on Pennsylvania creations, and elaborate painting was common on chairs, chests, and dressers. I wonder if that's any bit of influence from the Dutch, because painting was big on all their stuff.
Yeah. The Pennsylvania Dutch or the Dutch Dutch?
Pennsylvania Dutch.
So, yeah.
Pennsylvania Deutsch, because, there was some interaction. They come into Philadelphia, or vice versa.
Yeah. Maybe our boy, what's his name? Hooper. What's his name? Jack Happer? Lapper?
Lapp.
Henry Lapp.
Henry Lapp.
Yeah, maybe Henry Lapp picked that up in Philly. Took it over to the Amishes.
I wonder what else he picked up in Philly. He wasn't a wig wearer, was he?
No, he couldn't hear a thing. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, that's right.
He wasn't very good with words.
Another symptom?
He could be. Yeah, little did they know, Henry wasn't born deaf.
Rhode Island. Pieces made in Rhode Island, particularly card tables, often had distinctive geometric inlays. An unusual chair design with a shield-shaped back also developed in Rhode Island.
Interesting.
Last we were in Rhode Island, they were doing a lot of that carving, the shell motif.
Yep.
And it's not like they turn a switch on and off, and all of a sudden nobody's, building those Newport-style chests and things like that.
Yeah, there's people still making stuff with red oak. I shouldn't talk because we got a job coming up.
We're about to.
Not by choice.
We're going to make red oak sexy again.
That's right. Going to get some of that Minwax golden oak stain and put it on there.
Oh, God. Because it's got to match the floor.
Yeah.
We should preface, because that's what has to happen. We have to match the existing floor that was just put down in their house.
Which is red oak with like a 50-50 special walnut white.
White
or something. I don't know what it is.
It's quite an amalgam.
It's kind of like a lavender color.
It is. That's what happens when you put those two things onto pink and red. And
it's almost like like a tan stain on red oak.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, because I put these in alphabetical order, South Carolina, the southernmost center of federal furniture. Wealthy plantation owners typically had their furniture shipped from New York, and local craftsmen mimicked these styles. So the rich folks, they had the authentic stuff, and then people who maybe like merchants or what have you, they went locally and asked people in the town shop, can you make something that looks like this? That's kind of like the
Yeah, I saw this on Amazon. You can make it cheaper?
You see, they were always doing it to us.
Yeah. I got another new client questionnaire. Someone in California again with it. I think they must be fake. A table, $3,000, like a $7. I'm like, oh yeah, you could come pick it up and we'll do it for not for $3,000.
So local craftsmen mimic the styles of the furniture being built up in the Northeast. And there's one unique feature that develops in South Carolina, a motif inspired by the rice plant, which grew in profusion in the Charleston area. So there's a lot of rice growing down there, and instead of wheat, which was one of the classic motifs from Roman era, it changes to rice. Characteristics of federal furniture. Again, a bit of a recap. If you don't remember, I'm going to reinforce that it's a neoclassical design. A lot of proportion, fluted columns, straight legs, not curved legs. Everything is cool, rational. These are the words that they like to use. Clean edges, straight lines. They primarily dark bodies. Main woods are dark. Cherry, walnut, native woods, and it's the exotic veneers. And if it's not exotic, they're using like the burls and sort of the way we would use veneers today
as a compliment.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because it's 200 years on. We're still kind of using it in the same way.
Yeah, they didn't have any vacuum bags back then either.
I was about to say, how do you think I guess they had presses.
Yeah.
Like a screw with a big platen.
Yep. They just used some Starbond CA glue, an activator.
Do you think they had sponsors back then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve's wig powder. For when your head really smells bad.
What?
When my head stinks, I reach for Steve's wig powder.
Oh man. And all of the little details, like in the carvings, you could all see like those swag curtains and the fans, grapes, all that stuff. That's like you could see it in like what are those catalogs like Dykes? They had like those what do they call those things that you buy now that you can put on? Is that an overlay?
Like an applique.
Applique. Yeah. There you go. That comes straight out of this list here. Ribbons, swag, fruit basket, grapes, wheat shafts, flowers, urns. I mean, it's still quite influential.
Yeah, you think of like plaster work too, incorporates all that stuff.
Yeah. Here's a couple of pictures. Let's take a look at this Federal or Sheraton Bureau. There you go.
Interesting.
Sheraton did have his own style.
Yeah.
And from what I saw, it's a little bit simpler. Look at that skirt down at the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, and you see like the little cutouts close to where the legs are. I mean, it almost looks reminiscent of the Pennsylvania Dutch, doesn't it? Except for that inlay piece, that shape, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of that skirt board.
A lot of these like broken flute patterns they have where, you know, instead of being fluted the whole way, it's either divided up with some negative space or a little urn kind of shape, or up top they have these I guess this ribbed kind of bead look.
Yeah.
Seeing the same detail on the top where the top follows the legs, where the legs are actually like sort of applied to the corners of the case instead of being integral to the case.
Yeah, it looks like there's kind of an applied piece trimming the drawer faces. Is that are those mitered in the corner? Or?
It almost looks like, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell if that's veneer with a miter in it, or
yeah,
it does look like it has some.
Is it flat or is it raised?
No, yeah, it does look like it has some dimension to it. Like I can see like some like a curve.
Yeah, almost right. And then there's that inlay.
Yeah, a little string inlay on the inside with.
And I'm starting to notice that keyhole feature. In that Seymour piece, they had it without the brass part. I wonder what is that cherry or with the.
Does look like maybe it's just like a highly figured piece of cherry. Could be maple.
Yeah, as we found in that last. That I wonder what this looked like, in 1800 when it was built. Like, what were the colors? Maybe that.
When I think of Federal, I do think of that contrast of light and dark like that.
Mm-hmm.
This, I don't know. This could be walnut, the main
with the potassium chloride.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the legs are awfully brown.
Yeah.
It's hard to identify.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost looks like there are two different species that long section of fluting, right?
Versus this. Yeah, a little bit.
It's hard to tell. But that's built in not built by Sheraton, but that's the Sheraton style.
Right.
Got a Federal desk.
Yeah, almost like a secretary.
Yep.
But with, I guess, swinging, not a drop down, but a swinging
Again, we
doors.
got those keyholes, the oval brass pulls.
Yep. Some more figured wood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of use of figure.
Mm-hmm.
Look how dainty the legs are compared to what we've seen in the past.
And, more unadorned.
Mm-hmm. But the drawer face style is real similar to the last example with that.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it came out of the same shop.
Yeah. Sort of like a slab head with a mitered back band.
Mm-hmm.
Frame and panel. Well, frame and panel or veneer. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. If you're just listening, it's really, in this episode, at least at this section of the episode, it's worth it to take a look and actually view these pieces to appreciate them. It's nice work. I mean, we don't build in the Federal style, but this has me at least intrigued by it.
Yeah. I mean, sorry for the yawning. This could be reinterpreted, the form and proportion into several different styles.
I agree.
Mid-century, shaker, stickly.
Yes, you're right on the money in all those. Again, I'm always curious as to what the newly finished wood looks like at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good looking piece. I mean, you could still see it in somebody's house today. Wow.
Wow.
That's nice. It looks like mahogany, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, at least the bottom section.
Similar legs to the first one. A little more curvaceous though down here.
Yeah.
Like they're playing with different heights and depths here. Well, maybe one depth, but different heights.
Yeah, I love how the doors are just single pieces of wood, right?
Yeah.
Or a veneer. I don't know.
Yeah, I got a book match here,
Yep.
and a book match on the outside as well.
Oh, yeah. So they must be veneers, huh? Well, maybe not.
Probably, but
There's those keyholes.
Yep.
With the brass. What would you call that? A reeded column? Fluted column for the legs?
I guess that's reeded. Fluted would be like kind of the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Fluted would be in. Everything we've been looking at has been reeded.
Mm-hmm. Big, curved relief on this skirt down here.
All really nice proportions.
A lot of figure everywhere.
Yeah, I mean everywhere. It's
little butt hinges.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And the pattern, how it follows the top of the rounded column leg. I wish we knew what that was called.
Yeah.
Because that appears in all these pieces as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, I love the height.
I'm not digging the contrast on this one.
No,
because the top is very yellow, but
it might not have aged well in that regard.
Yeah, if it was all this color of this down here, I'd like it a lot more. But I love the shape and size of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it has two more back legs.
Oh, yeah, behind there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I think some of these pictures are composites. Because if you look at this one, look how the
legs are weird, right?
They're like in like a dream sequence.
They're like a shadow.
Like they're like all misty looking. So I wonder if it's a composite and they kind of added those back in to give it some perspective. Because these look like they could be
just
doing
tacked
the same.
on there, photoshopped on, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, like they took them, edited them out, and then put them back in, so that maybe not. Because this was shot on a, maybe they were throwing a shadow or something.
Possible. Yeah, because it's really on a clean white background. These shots, they're not in a setting. There you go.
Oh man, you're losing me on these. Is this the shield shape?
Yeah, that's the shield shape.
And that's a Rhode Island thing.
Yeah.
This looks like some kind of animal, this thing over here with these legs in the back and these like a gorilla. Really wide stance in the front and narrow in the back. Same thing here.
Yeah, the arm and the non-armed chair, just the seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a couple of like intersecting ellipses almost with a fan at the top of the splat.
Yep.
Not at all what I would think when we've seen like all these pieces of casework, very angular.
Yeah.
But the chair, they're upholstered. The first one, the chair without arms, has some straight legs, etc. But I'm not digging the design personally.
Then these look like little eyes.
Mm-hmm. But we know from both Hepplewhite and Sheraton's books, upholstery is big now.
Yeah, this is looking a lot like Chippendale to me.
Yeah, it is. Comfort, I suppose, becomes more of an issue. You probably don't want to just sit on a wooden chair.
Yeah, when you got syphilis, you ain't got long to live, so you might as well enjoy it.
What wood would you say guess those were made out of?
It's very dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be mahogany or walnut.
Yeah.
Looks like mahogany to me.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of curves in there.
Yeah.
For a federal period.
I mean, this is an obscenely complex back.
You're right, because it's all those interlocking pieces. That probably, I wouldn't even know how to approach that. I mean, is that carved from one piece?
That's what I was just thinking. I don't know.
I mean, with all that negative space removed.
Yeah, because look how these come over the top.
Yeah.
And come connect all the way down here to this shell or fan, whatever the hell that is.
Imagine. Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, and then it's got to be joined to those other pieces and stand the test of time. I mean, for a chair to last that long and be that, I'll say, dainty. That's amazing workmanship.
Yeah.
Stylistically, it doesn't do anything for me, but excuse me, the craftsmanship. Holy cow!
Yeah.
All right. So
I got a creak in my chair now.
Yeah.
I have to grease this baby up.
Maybe
you got one too.
Yeah. So this is another refresher. The term federal, now that we've been talking about, it refers not specifically to the style of furniture, but the period within which the furniture is made.
Right.
Based on neoclassicism, the classics found in Greece and Rome. And if we scroll down, we come across Robert Adam again. And we bring up Hepplewhite and Sheraton's books, Cabinet Maker and Upholsterer's Guide. This was interesting. We'll get into this as we talk more about them as individuals. But Hepplewhite's Hepplewhite's book isn't published during his lifetime.
Oh wow.
His wife publishes it after his death.
Trying to make a little coin.
Yeah. You're probably right on the money, because women were often left.
He probably died of syphilis.
He probably did. So both these guides are studied extensively by American furniture makers, and while their interpretations varied, the products had the underlying clean lines and delicate forms attributed to the federal period. Hepplewhite. Most often, Hepplewhite pieces, especially small tables, chairs, and writing desks, were crafted of mahogany.
Mahogany.
Mahogany. Mahogany's popular still, but also mahogany veneers. Mahogany veneer over cherry is sometimes referred to as poor man's mahogany.
Not over MDF?
No. I wonder if those chairs were of a Hepplewhite design, because Hepplewhite designs have a more delicate looking appearance when compared to earlier Chippendale and Queen Anne pieces made during the colonial period. Trademark features of Hepplewhite style, according to Antiques 101, include spade feet, shield back chairs.
Oh, it's gotta
there
be.
you go. Marquetry and tambour fronts on case pieces.
I think maybe those would be kind of called spade feet. I was trying to think of what.
Those little tiny. Oh, I know what the spade feet are.
Like that? Like a shovel?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like gonna have some Hepplewhite influence, those chairs.
Yeah.
Hey, scroll back a little bit. Yeah. Oh yeah. So is the spade feet, the shield back, the marquetry, tambour fronts, and these innovations endured and became hallmarks of Hepplewhite's influence on furniture manufacturer. The other big name is Sheraton. He also favored mahogany, but here's some of the differences to keep in mind when you're comparing Hepplewhite to Sheraton. Now, we wouldn't be so gauche as to confuse a Hepplewhite with a Sheraton, would we?
Never.
In contrast,
Same my first day in the shop.
My God. That's a Hepplewhite.
You fool.
In contrast to Hepplewhite's shield backs with an oval form, Sheraton preferred a square-shaped back when it came to seating. There you go. See, I think we'd be Sheraton men.
Yeah.
The legs on his pieces, rather than being innovative, followed the traditional round shapes of the past. However, as American cabinet makers studied both styles, they sometimes mingled them together. That's where referencing pieces as from the Federal period sometimes comes in handy, rather than trying to pigeonhole a piece into the Hepplewhite or Sheraton camps if several characteristics are present.
A Shepplewhite.
Shepplewhite, there you go. Because people are they probably are looking at both books. They probably, if they've got Sheraton's book and they probably have Hepplewhite's book, they probably have a later rendition of Chippendale's book. And they're doing whatever they can to reproduce some of these pieces.
Look at that. We got a shipment coming from Vesting.
Woo!
Be here tomorrow.
Nice. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
And the last name we'll introduce is Duncan Phyfe. I've seen these guys called the Big Three of the Federal period. Excuse me. Duncan Phyfe is based in New York City. Again, these three guys are all Brits by birth. Duncan Phyfe is said to have, quote, carried out Sheraton and Hepplewhite neoclassical designs to perfection.
Shepplewhite.
A Shepplewhite. His flip-top game tables, lyre-back chairs, and table bases are recognizable signatures. Those originals are hard to come by, but there was a major revival of the Duncan Phyfe style in the 1930s, about 100 years later, making these pieces plentiful for those who admire the style.
Lyre-back. A lyre's like a guitar, right?
Yeah.
Like a round...
Yeah. The Federal period continued in furniture manufacturing through the 1820s, although the Empire style was also gaining popularity at that time.
That must be the next one after Sheraton.
Yeah, so Empire, probably referring to the time period when everybody's going out and conquering, creating empires. Here we go, Spruce Crafts.
That's right, that's our mecca.
Early American, colonial.
Got this zoomed in so far. Pennsylvania Dutch, Sheraton, American
Empire. Ooh,
look at that.
Look at the ad.
They've been Elite Metal Tools. They've been stealing my information.
And if you look, American Empire is happening 1800 to 1840.
So a little overlap.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. What comes next? Shaker. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Victorian. think the Victorian will be interesting because you're bringing in mass manufacture at that point.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Arts and crafts, Art Nouveau, traditional revival.
Modern and postmodern to present.
That might have to be more than 4 episodes, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, I'm going to like cutting and pasting the picture links on that one because that's one of my favorites, so we could really enjoy taking a look at that. And I would probably, if you've enjoyed the podcast up to this point, if you have the ability to, it's probably going to be more worth your while to start watching some of the episodes, or at least going back and maybe even doing some of your own, I won't call it research, but just a few quick Google searches will get you these pictures.
Yeah, I mean, this is the real practical application of all this stuff that we're talking about. Is you could listen to this and try and interpret this information, but until you see these pieces, it doesn't. At least for me, it doesn't all click exactly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with a somewhat visual medium here.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any interest in designing and building furniture, hearing the why and the what, and then seeing the pictures, I mean, it's invaluable.
It's true. It's true. Because I can't put it all together at times, like without some sort of visual reference. You try, but a lot of the words and just a lot of the work it's kind of removed from how we do things and design things. So Federal Furniture has much to offer woodworkers, including us, all of you out there. In addition to the traditional joinery, there's veneering, inlay, stringing, banding, and the pictorial veneer work, which I think is called pottery or something like that. Reading, curved work is there. Not extensively like, the Chippendale stuff. There's carving. This was written in first person. So, and there's a bunch of rigid symmetry, but they use a lot of highly figured woods, and there's definitely a lot there to appreciate.
Yeah. Letting the wood speak for itself and not.
Yeah. The veneering and the inlays, it's one of the defining characteristics, and all the pieces we viewed pretty much highlight that. Veneers had been a feature of the William and Mary furniture, which was part of, I believe, the colonial period. Queen Anne and Chippendale, but it's not like they introduced during this period of Federal style, where whole fronts of pieces are veneered.
Yep.
And probably tops, too. And where do the veneers come from? It's the expansion of trade in the 18th century that brings many exotic and beautiful woods, which in turn become veneers. Cabinet makers of the period explore the use of these things, just like we do. We get our hands on a beautiful piece, even if we cherry pick it out of our maple pile. We go, man, what can we do with this piece of wood?
Yeah.
Let's slice it up and make it into a couple of door panels.
Speaking of which, Colin,
he
says he's sending us a piece of wood from Australia.
Ooh. Oh, man, that's cool because...
Yeah, I said we'll find something cool to do with that.
Veneers during the Federal period are used to dramatic effect, decorate surfaces, geometric patterns, or just, to display the figure on its own. Stringing, banding. Federal period introduced ornamental styling such as fluting, and I guess that comes from directly off the columns of the, Greek and Roman ruins. What else do we got? Hepplewhite, that's the beginning of the next episode.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's just there's no title on it. So,
some nice stuff.
Yeah. Hardware, as we saw, was typically brass.
A lot of back plates.
Yeah.
Which is a continuation of that colonial period. I forgot all about the early American period. It seems like a lifetime ago.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we're on episode 15. I mean, it's 15 hours of talking ago, plus the other half episodes we put together for the Patreon.
Yeah.
So we've spent
20 some odd hours.
A long time jabbering on.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
So the federal period, America's first true style of its own.
Yeah.
It brought a lot of stuff to the table that we're still doing today, and in a similar way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, using the smaller pieces of exotics as embellishment or to highlight certain things.
Yep.
I really like the lightness of some of the pieces.
Yeah. And getting back to the rectilinear sort of design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like those colonial style high boys and stuff, but I don't know. They're just a little bit too much sometimes with all the curves and carving, yeah.
Yeah, and those, what do you call those, ram's head pediments?
Yeah, it was the cabriole legs.
And the big shell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're attracted to that stuff, that's, you're going to do a deep dive. There's so much there for you. We're more influenced by the arts and crafts movement and modern,
minimalism.
The Eastern philosophy of design. So we're getting more into our wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like, so next week we're going to dive into the
designers.
The heavy hitters, Hepplewhite, Sheridan.
And Fife. And we're going to look at a little bit of Seymour's stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I liked his little thing. Bergen County, New Jersey.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm down here scrolling all the way page 15 and 19. Yeah, well, we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, check out Vesting Finishes. We got some be here tomorrow for us. Be here a couple weeks ago for you.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. You're probably listening to this after
it's 2022 now.
Yeah, unless you're one of the early listeners, you'll be listening to this on New Year's Eve. But yeah, we wish you all the best for the new year. 2022. Wow, it's crazy.
And if you have any comments, questions about the podcast, don't be shy. Write them in.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Ciao.